magandang araw po sa lahat, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, at sa lahat ng Pinay saan man sa mundo. I am Dr. Shi Armero, your friendly OBGYN and lifestyle medicine specialist, and you are watching DANGPANAN, a live series of Doc Shi TV. We do this every Saturday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon simultaneously in YouTube, Doc Shi TV, and in Facebook, Dr. Shi Armero, OBGYN Lifestyle Clinic. The goal of this program is to give education in various social media platforms to empower you, Pinays, to take charge of your health through correct and science-based or evidence-based information. DANGPANAN, a Bisaya term for shelter, is chosen to be the name of this program because I want to share this comfort of good education to all of you, my viewers, through a platform that is accessible to all. Welcome to another educational Saturday afternoon. And what's more, you do not just learn, you can also share these blessings to others by giving everyone a chance to win a free online consultation coupon. So invite your friends, your relatives, by typing their names in the chat box or click the share button. And don't forget the hashtag DocSheetTV, or in short, hashtag DDSTV. If this is your first time watching, don't forget to click that follow button at Dr. Shi Armero OBGYN Lifestyle Clinic Facebook page, or click that subscribe button in YouTube, Doc Shi TV, and don't forget to click that notification bell for you to be notified on future videos.
DANGPANAN, kabahin sa panglawas o relasyon. Doc Shi Armero.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We are once again live for another afternoon full of education. So this afternoon, we have some guests. Okay, this is their first time joining us. So please help me welcome them. But first, please chat in where you are watching from. I know you are all excited to win that free online consultation coupon with our Tama Omale segment later on. Hi! Our very avid watcher, Kuya Janelle, thank you once again for watching live from Bourbon, Cebu. Thank you very much. So once again, if this is your first time watching, don't forget to click that share button for us to be able to share to others what we'll be learning this afternoon. This is a weekly segment of DANGPANAN, a live segment of Doc Shi TV. Once again, I am Dr. Shi Armero, and this afternoon, we will have guests, and the very hot topic, still a very hot topic until now, is of the COVID-19 pandemic. I know we discussed already about vaccines in the previous episode, but it was about the ethical concerns revolving around the COVID-19 vaccine. This afternoon, we have guests, experts in their fields who will help us, enlighten us, educate us on these matters. Hello, Jerilyn Silvano from where? Apa, Cebu. Hello. Okay, Dr. Alvin Galion, thank you once again for being with us this afternoon. Okay, so before I proceed to introducing our guests, let us introduce our topic first with this video here. Oh, there. So there is that background video on our topic this afternoon. Oh, we have some more audience coming in. Thank you once again, Grace Lawas, for being with us this afternoon from Danao City, Cebu. Wow. Also from San Nicolas. Yes, Claudine Ilumba. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So now I will introduce our guest speakers. I am very honored to introduce each one of them. Okay, so first time that we have two guests this afternoon. All right, so are you excited as much as I am? So let me introduce the first speaker. He is a graduate of the Doctor of Medicine in the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital. He is the founder of Wellness Land Health Institute, a leader in the field of natural and complementary healthcare, an educator, author of several self-help empowerment books, public speaker, and lifestyle medicine specialist. Let us all welcome Dr. Romy Paredes. Hello, Doc. Good afternoon. Welcome to
Hello,
our program.
hello po, Dr. Shi and all the listeners of Doc Shi TV. So, thank you for inviting us here in your program. Magandang
Thank you.
hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Now, I will introduce the second speaker. He is a well-acclaimed scientist and researcher and has genetic biotechnology. He's also an educator, public speaker, and strong advocate of plant-based medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Kiyu Wong. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor
Welcome
and
to the
pleasure to be here
Philippines.
today. Thank you. It was
Kelly,
such a
tell us
pleasure.
where you are from so our audience will know.
I already put on my name that I'm from Malaysia. As
Yes.
of this moment, I'm actually streaming from Kuala Lumpur now. Yeah.
Oh, so thank you very much for gracing us with your presence this afternoon. So we'll put back Dr. Paredes. Hello. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Paredes and Mr. Wong Kiyu, for your time this afternoon. I have prepared several questions, especially that our audience have submitted. I had some of them, and so hopefully we'll be able to address them. Okay, so as promoted in our poster, it says approaching COVID-19 the holistic way. We will be answering our question in a more, we will pattern our answers with the prevention, diagnosis, and the management. And so let's start the ball rolling with our first question. Okay, are we ready? All right.
Ready?
So our first question goes, I hope you can read it from below. Can
Yeah.
COVID-19, actually prevent the infection? Because in here in the Philippines, it is FDA has the emergency use authorization for COVID-19 vaccine because of the emergency situation that we are now. But can COVID-19 vaccine actually prevent the infection? Because there are a lot of misconceptions on the vaccine and we want to correct it. But we don't want to take sides. We just want to know whether it can actually prevent the infection and how long will it be if there is a particular protection in that matter.
Dr. Romy, would you like to take the question?
Yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and then but I'm interested with your answer, Kiyu. Okay, so the question is, can it actually prevent? As far as I know, I think partially yes. Partially yes. Partially meaning it is not. It is just a temporary protection. It is not an absolute protection. And that is the reason why, if you notice, after the vaccination, you are still advised to wear a mask, to do social distancing, to do the minimum health standards. Because as far as I know, I'm not the scientist, we will ask you later on, but the vaccines are tailored or patterned from the spike proteins only. Very specific to the spike proteins. Therefore, the antibodies that are stimulated to be produced inside your body after the vaccination is very specific. So it is called antigen-specific antibody. Unlike when it comes to your innate immunity meaning it's something like you haven't been vaccinated yet and you got the COVID and you develop an immune response, and the immune response is more broad, not as specific as the immune response of an antigen-specific antibody. Kiyo.
Okay. How about Mr. Kiyo? We're very interested in your answer.
Yeah, actually, this vaccine actually, if I were to put it in a very strict sense, actually, there's no answer to it because it has only been tested for a very short period of time. That for seriously in a conventional way in developing vaccine and all this. I come from a biomedical lab for that where I work for more than 10 years and all this. In order to get vaccines to be really proven to be effective, actually, not to even talk about the safety perspective of it, we would demand multiple different groups of scientists actually concurrently doing the experiments on the same subject, and over a long period of time, like we will need at least like multiple years, actually, at least 2 to 3 years. If you want to see safety proving, it will be more than 5 to 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So I would say, if you ask me whether it can provide protection or not, I would say I do not know because the test is too short. The test is too short, and it was only done by only one party, only done by one group of scientists who is the manufacturer, which has got 100% conflict of interest.
Right.
If I were to sell you a vitamin today, Mr. Wong Kiyu produced my own Wong Kiyu vitamin C today, and you guys will be asking me, Kiyu, is it going to be safe and effective? Yeah, I have done 2 months of experiment on this vitamin C. I think it is. So, so would you take my vitamin C? Do you get what I mean? So in that sense, it is very sensible that we know that this vaccine, I honestly, I do not know whether it protects us or not. Seriously, there's no answer because
Maybe,
the experiments get too short.
I have a follow up. Maybe Kiyo, the reason is, because most vaccines, in fact, all vaccines right now are under EUA. EUA means
Emergency Use Authority.
So meaning maybe they also acknowledge that the time is not yet enough. That's why it's under EUA, Emergency Use Authorization.
Yes. Having said that, even though we have the emergency authorization, but that doesn't justify science, actually. It justifies emergency.
Okay.
It justifies emergency, but it doesn't justify science at all. So I am coming from a very geeky and nerdy point of view. If you ask me as an opinion by a scientist perspective, I say I can't tell, seriously. Honestly, I can't tell whether it's protecting us or not.
Yeah, that's why we are glad to have a nerd friend like you.
Yes, I think it's a very good point that it might justify the emergency status, but cannot justify the science really behind it, because it's a fact that we are divided on our stand regarding the vaccine, not just on the side effects, but on the science or the evidence or the research perspective. Okay, I think it was a very good point. Okay, it's good to have a researcher. That's true. Okay, now how about herd immunity? So there is herd immunity. So for our audience, for them to understand what herd immunity is that when a community becomes resistant to the infection because majority are being vaccinated already, or majority of the population got the infection. And for us to get the herd immunity, we have to be vaccinated around 80 to 90% of the population for us to get it. Is vaccination the only way to get, or for us to acquire the herd immunity?
I think Kiyo is the best person to answer that.
Okay.
Well, I think we can actually share our views, in a sequence. By the way, my personal point of view is that, sorry, I shouldn't say it's my personal point of view. It's actually a general point of view, because it is out from our textbook. I graduated from pharmaceutical biotechnology. I am with honors. And in my third year university training, we have this course, virology. We have
Mm-hmm.
virology, and we
Mm-hmm.
also have throughout my 3 years of, despite that I'm not a doctor, I'm not an MD, but I have got 2 full years of immunology training. That means a total 4 semester is intensive. I started to have immunology training since my year two university training until I finished my year three, and then my year four is on honors. So I would say that throughout this 2 years of training with virology and immunology to prepare me to go into pharmaceutical science, biotechnology, right? We know that herd immunity is pretty much a jargon, pretty much a specific term, scientific specific term for traditional immunization, not really
Mm-hmm.
for vaccination. Everybody
Mm.
has been told that without vaccination you don't get herd immunity, and I would say this has been hijacked by the vaccination companies. So prior to the era of vaccination, which is I think the history of vaccination is roughly about 150 years only. So prior to the recent 150 years of human civilization, we all achieved herd immunity through natural infection. Through
Mm.
natural infection. So that's why how many of the audience here can actually resonate with me that when the parents know that their kids classmate has got chicken pox, you will send your kid quickly to play with the kid with chicken pox, so that your kid also quickly get the chicken pox. Why do parents do that? Because they want to quickly create the herd immunity. Actually, it's part of, and so that the kid also in future will get immunized. The younger you get the immunization in your early age, the less suffering it is. Basically, but that is just a joke actually. But what I'm trying to tell people that natural infection is not as bad as we think. All of
Mm.
our humans civilizations history, all throughout the history of human civilization, every single pandemic has been overcome by natural infection. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but why are we making a big deal about
Yeah.
having to
Why?
vaccinate? Because we have been twisted in such a sense that if you get infected, you are going to die from it. But this is actually a very, very over amplifying, so-called over exaggeration of the situation. We have to understand that in virology, we talk about during a contagious disease, we talk about few factors. Number one, what is the virulence of the virus? Virulence means
Mm-hmm.
how scary it is, how cold-blooded is this virus.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about the
Mm-hmm.
virulence. The other one is that we talk about the frequency of exposure. This is a proper understanding when I learned in my virology class in my third year university. And then the other one is dosage. Dosage.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say today I have got a cold. I've got a cold, and I sneeze in a very confined space in a lift. So the two other passengers will get intensive dosage from me from my sneezing. So I would expect the other two people, they will easily get my flu strain as well. That's
Mm-hmm.
dosage. But let's say
Mm-hmm.
if I were to sneeze it in a open space like in a lobby in a hotel, it get
Mm-hmm.
diluted. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Romy, like maybe sitting like 20 minutes away from me, he probably get it too because the air actually runs around. So Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Romy will sit 20 minutes far away from me. He will get my strain, but the dosage is very small. When the dosage
Mm.
is small, your death rate slump a
Goes
lot,
on. Mm-hmm.
goes down. And will Dr. Romy die from my sneeze? No, because he only get it from me. And then when he go out to another shopping center, nobody sneeze. So the frequency also will reduce his chance of dying. So this is a proper understanding. It's not a jinx kind of thing. Once you touch it, you will die. We have
Oh,
to understand.
yeah.
You
Because
touch it,
there's a
exactly.
conception that, yeah,
Yes, you
they
have to
can
understand.
get.
If you touch, You have to know, did you touch in high dosage? No, then you will not die. Did you touch it in a high frequency? No, because like during this lockdown, like I still go out to buy food in grocery, but I don't unnecessarily go out. But when I go out, I don't feel the fear. I don't feel the fear because my frequency of exposure is low, and I put on a mask. Even though mask is not N95, but it can just shield partially, so it cut down the dosage huge amount. And we all practicing about the hand wash, the disinfectant that reduce the dosage heavily. So to me, if I were to get infected, I don't think I will die. So if I get infected, I don't die, and then that is a good thing. That is the natural immunization that will lead to a general herd immunity. That is a good thing. So I would say, in this situation, right, if you're actually wearing mask when you're going out, you disinfect your hands, you wash your hand before you eat, you keep a reasonable distance with people. That is a really very good way in protecting yourself from dying and suffering from severe infection. At the same time, you are doing your part to create the herd immunity.
Wow,
Naturally.
that's right.
You're saying because the mantra from the authorities, authorities meaning the world, telling us that the only way, because the mantra is this: the only way to herd immunity is vaccination. That is the mantra. So you're saying
That is a wrong mantra.
So it's a wrong mantra because there is
Very
another
wrong.
herd immunity which we already started in the late 2019 and 2020, which is natural infection, and there were much less variants during that time. There were much less variants during that time. Now I have a follow-up question, Kiyo. So how about us doctors who are close range with people?
Yes, that's true. Even when we wear the reverse isolation.
Although we have the plastic in between me and the patient, how about us who see?
Dr. Romy, I think you guys, remember I mentioned frequency,
And
dosage, and virulence. We know that COVID-19 virulence is not high. It's already proven. The virulence of COVID-19, although I know there are anecdotal portrayal of how some people die so miserably from COVID-19, but did you know that the common flu, the MERS, and many other Ebola viruses, they die even in a more bad shape than COVID-19. And if you were to zoom out to look at really maturely look at the data, COVID-19 is considered low virulence. That means they are not scary enough. They are considered low virulence. At the same time, the frontline healthcare people like doctors, they have shield already. They constantly sanitize your hand, and I think it's actually good enough. I think it's good enough.
protect.
Yeah. And in fact, you guys actually also, if you do get in, I'm quite sure there will be chance that all these doctors and nurses will get infected, and there's no need to worry about that, because when you get infected, it will be part of the natural herd immunity. That is the proper concept.
Yeah.
So that's our contribution, Dr. Paredes.
Yes.
If you are infected already, you are part of the natural herd immunity. Maybe maybe Dr. Shi, we are already infected. It's just asymptomatic.
Yes.
So we should check our
After
antibody.
facing several patients.
We should check our antibody.
Yes. So we can contribute in the herd immunity. Wow. Okay. So again, the bottom line there is that we cut at any part of the cycle, may it be the dosage or the frequency of the exposure. All right. Okay. Now we move on to the next question about the diagnosis, especially on the tests being used and the statistics that we see already. And so this is a common concern among my patients because it's part of the protocol when you are about to deliver a baby. You will have to request an RT-PCR, COVID RT-PCR, for them to get admitted to the clean labor room. And so this becomes a common concern. Are there possibilities of false positive RT-PCR tests or what are the concerns involving the RT-PCR test for COVID-19 infection, either nasopharyngeal or saliva?
Or
If
are there possibilities also of a false negative?
Yes.
Well, I would say, I this one I really have to stand up and talk about this because I'm from a biomedical lab. Since my training days of my year two training in university, including my entire career in laboratory. Although I have left biomedical research for about 9 years now by now. But prior to my recent 9 years diverting into a new path of education, prior to that, I would say a solid I had a solid 15 years of PCR uh,
Exposure.
exposure. That means I have to let you know I come from a biotech training where I do a lot of genetic testing, a lot of RNA reverse transcription and all this. And I would say my daily routine would be PCR.
Wow.
My daily routine is
Wow.
PCR.
Wow.
Yes,
So
yes. And in
I'm
fact,
curious to listen more.
yes, in fact, a lot of colleagues, when they have PCR problem, they come and consult me. Yes.
Oh.
When they fail their PCR, they come and consult me. And when they fail their result, they get a bad result, they come and consult me on my PCR. So I know the PCR in and out. We have to understand that in a traditional laboratory, in a gold standard, the proper way to do PCR test is to do the PCR itself, but the PCR itself does not give you immediate conclusion. Never. NEVER.
Mm.
By doing PCR test alone will never give you conclusion. This is a golden solid science fact. Is a dead fact. Why? Because we know that when we do PCR is very very prone to artifacts. What is
Mm-hmm.
artifact? That means fake result, false
Mm-hmm.
positive
Mm-hmm.
because of the nature of it. It keep on amplifying. I'm not quite sure whether you guys can resonate with me. If I were to give you a white sheet of paper, a white sheet of A4 paper, I want you to do a photocopying on a photocopying machine.
Mhm.
If I were to give you a white piece of paper, you photocopy one time, what's the result? White paper come out.
White
I want
paper.
you to Yes, white paper. I want
Photocopy,
you
there'll be
yes,
some dots.
Yes, I want you to use the new photocopy, which is white paper as well, to use it as a template for the next photocopying. And then you get a third piece, also white copy. I want you
Mm-hmm.
to use the third copy as your template to
Mm-hmm.
repetitively to do your photocopying until
Mm-hmm.
1,000,000 times. Do you think on the 1,000,000 time, it will still be a white copy coming out? Yes or
No
no?
more. No
No
more.
No more.
more. Yes.
I don't have to explain. Okay, you guys tell me. I do not know why it is not no more. It's no more white copy. But you tell me it's no more white copy, and we all know it's no more white copy because the speck of dust on the screen, on the paper, the links, the on the whatever it is, it actually get amplified over
Yeah.
amplified. So that's
Mm.
the problem with PCR. PCR, if you were to do it in PCR, can somebody do a quick calculation for me? What is the 2 power of 24? 2 to the power of 24. How many times?
Wow.
How many
I don't
zero
have
are there?
I don't have a scientific calculator.
Yes.
Me
By the
too.
way, just a quick answer is multiple millions up to a billion actually. So if I were to do a standard PCR in a laboratory, I amplify it easily over 1,000,000 times. So you better to have some. If I have, if my original plan, or original template that I photocopied, the first copy was a picture. Of course, I would not lose the picture. I would not lose the
Mm-hmm.
picture after
Yes.
1,000,000 times. But of course,
Yes.
it
The
will be
picture will
fuzzy
stay
and all
there.
this.
Yeah.
The picture will stay there. But the problem
Mm-hmm.
is when it is white in color, and then by the millionth time, you think you see a picture. But scientists are not stupid. That's why all these years when I do PCR in my lab, there is a second step to prove that it is not the imagination that I see something
Okay.
after a million
Okay.
times. So we will actually do a gel electrophoresis, which is a totally different experiment. We use a second experiment to prove that I have got something in there for sure I want. This test will tell me that is that the size that I want, the size. We do not know the content, but we know the size whether it's right or not. If the second step tell me that the size is wrong, then no need to do the third step.
Okay.
For sure, we know this is false positive. But if you do the second test, we know the size is correct. Don't be too happy. There is a third test that is we need to read the content. We call sequencing. The third test. We need to do sequencing. In order to prove that my first PCR was correct. It was not my imagination after a million times of amplification that something is there. But I tell you what happened. All the WHO recommended PCR tests skip second and the third test.
Oh, that's supposedly my next question. Is that technology available in the country, the second and the third test?
So easy.
I think
It's all throughout the year. The second and the third test is very, very cheap technology, but it takes time. But actually, even though it takes some time, it will not take more than 1 day to get the second and the third test done.
Now, how come the second and the third test, most of us, even doctors, we are not aware that it should be done?
I'm not going to tell you anything. Yeah, I'm not gonna. But
Okay.
as a scientist, I report the fact to you. It's up to you to imagine and interpret why it is not done. Sorry. Yeah, I just tell you that the second and third is done, not done.
I have an answer for that. It's called palm over forehead. Palm. So
yes,
palm over forehead. Yeah, like that. Okay, palm over forehead. Everybody knows what it
Perhaps
means.
if you want to ask, you write a letter to your health minister. Why is second and the third test not done? Ask them why is it not done?
Will
They are supposed to answer
cost
you.
just how about this? Will the cost increase if we do the second and third? Are they expensive?
I tell you, I'm not quite sure how much is your PCR test now in Manila, in Cebu.
It costs 4 to 5,000, 3 to 5,000.
Yeah,
3,000 to 5,000.
3 to 5,000. That would be 100 USD. That would be 100 USD.
Maybe 80 to 100.
80 to 100 USD, right?
Yeah.
So if I could recall, during my time 10 years ago, one reaction of PCR is only 5 USD.
Oh.
I suppose if you were to buy in bulk, there will be economy of scale. It will be cheaper. And technology, and once I would say my quote is lower. It is higher than the current price. So if you were to add on the second test, maybe sometimes you can creatively skip the second test and jump to third test. It will still be conclusive. So if they were to do the sequencing directly, maybe you can add on another $5 USD.
Okay.
You go and ask. I do not know why. I just tell you the fact. Yeah. You ask your minister. Yeah.
Because there is no proven or there's no proof of us that there are false positives being released because we do not have the step 2 and the step 3. But patients are asking because they're afraid to get tested because they might test positive falsely, and so this can be a good explanation to them. But since it becomes a standard protocol already in our healthcare system, palm over forehead again.
Palm over forehead again. We have a new term, palm over forehead.
Okay.
This is a neutral answer.
Yeah. Mr. Kiyu, we have a question from our audience. This is from Dr. Esturco. He's also a lifestyle medicine specialist. Is there a technical term for the second and the third stage after the PCR testing?
I think can I answer so that I will test my memory? Then Kiyu will correct me because I was listening. It's not a second and a third PCR testing. Actually, the second layer is gel electrophoresis, and the third layer is sequencing. Am I right, teacher?
Wow.
Dr. Dr. Shi, I'm planning to enroll in Kiyu's
Biotech.
course in May. In May. Yeah, I haven't told you yet, but
Wow.
I'm telling you now. I already checked your
Wow.
courses.
Wow. Okay, that's a very nice move, Dr. Paredes, especially during this time, huh?
In fact, I remember gel electrophoresis because, by the way, my pre-medicine course is I'm a Bachelor of Science in
Chemistry.
Chemistry. So I spent
Mm,
some time in the laboratory also. So I'm quite, I'm not, I don't remember anymore, but I remember the word gel electrophoresis.
Yes, that's right. So if by in any case somebody really would want to request for that, that's the term for the phase 2 and the phase 3 if ever they test positive for the RT-PCR, correct? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you for that question. So,
Very
mhm,
informative. Most people do not know there is
yeah.
a next layer of confirmation and a next layer
Mm,
and a third layer of
mm,
confirmation. It's just like it's a
mm,
gold standard now. PCR, if you're positive, you're positive, you're negative, you're negative. So what
mm,
is the false positivity rate of PCR, Kiyu?
mm.
I have no idea. I would refrain to comment because if I were to quote some scientists who actually that I learned the fact from, it is actually very disturbing. But I cannot
Mm,
confirm. I will not comment. But the false
mm,
positive rate is supposedly very worrying, very worrying. The
I think
false
it's high.
positive,
mm.
yes, very high. Yes.
Wow.
So the ideal move here is to for us to be able to maximize the RT-PCR. There should be stage 2 and 3 for those who will test positive. For us to be able to identify who really among them are
Mm,
truly COVID positive,
Yeah.
who got
Maybe
the
yeah,
COVID.
that's the ideal. And maybe the
Mm.
reason why that maybe that's why there's a lot of asymptomatic because they don't have it.
yeah, they don't
Yeah.
even have it actually. Mm.
So which points out to the next question. How about the increasing number of persons testing positive with the virus? Was COVID-19 being isolated in their diagnosis,
I think
perhaps?
Kiyo will answer that.
Okay, okay.
See,
Dr.
I'm,
Dr. Romy,
I'm
you can
here.
also contribute
I'm
as
here
well.
to point all the questions to you.
Don't worry, Gio. Later, Dr. Paredes will have his turn. He cannot pass it on to you later.
Yeah, the clinical experiences. But seriously, from what I actually gathered right from some scientific papers, actually, what happened is that it is also a little bit disturbing that
Mhm.
while they tell you that the COVID-19 actually has been isolated, right? It's not. I would say in a very scientific technical term, it is biased, extremely biased. And how biased is it? If you were to really, I hope the scientists here today, the doctors here today, see this as a so-called a whistleblowing. You go and check out the
Mm,
very original paper, the publication,
mm,
in the PubMed publication and all this. You notice that the so-called isolation is not truly isolation. They are playing with the creative term isolation. When we say that we isolated a bacteria, when we isolated a virus, we always mean in laboratory last time in my conventional training days. When you say when I isolated the virus is when I actually can grow this virus. I can grow this virus in a petri dish on some cell medium and feeding the virus onto the some human cell, some animal cell, and all this. And then I will harvest the lysate and purify away all the cell debris. Then the because virus is very small, they will appear in only in clear liquid. In the clear liquid, I will add in some PEG, which is some kind of precipitation agent, and precipitate the virus, and then after that, I presume myself I've got isolated the virus. Then this virus, this precipitation, I will use it to infect. I will use this to infect fresh cell line, fresh cell in the
mhm,
petri dish to prove that I got the virus, and I also
Mhm.
can count how many virus I can. And
Mhm.
this is not done. This is
Oh,
not done. the very basic university gold standard, they skip it. That means if you were to get WHO to put them in any university test, they will fail immediately in their year 2 biology.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes,
too bad.
they will be failed by any professor in the world in year 2 biology, because they did not precipitate the virus and use that virus to infect, that precipitation outcome to reinfect any cell to prove that they really get the virus. What they do now is that let's say myself, I got infected, I'm very sick, so they actually get my lung fluid. I've got serious inflammation, I'm in ICU. So they get my lung fluid. They use my lung fluid to infect the petri dish in the laboratory. Okay, and really you see a lot of detrimentation. You see a lot of cells die. Okay, and then after that, oh, we got the virus inside this petri dish. Definitely. Yeah, and then they use this petri dish lysate to infect another petri dish, and then yeah, it is really active. They are killing more and more cell. But remember, the origin of it is my lung fluid. Dr. Romy, do you think you can calculate how many stuff are there in my lung fluid? Can
No.
you be sure I have my lung fluid is only the virus, that I do not have any parasite in my lung fluid? I do not have any bacteria in my lung fluid? I do
No.
not have my own cell in my own lung fluid?
There are
They
many
did,
stuff there.
yes, they did not really substantially clean up this lysate. They may have filtered off some huge cellular cell debris like from my lung. But one thing for sure, that even though they can pass it through some filtration membrane to do away bacteria, most of the bacteria, yeah, they can use size exclusion technology to remove bacteria. But in that cell lysate, which is purified, which is not really isolated, may have a zillions virus inside.
Not
How
only
do you?
COVID.
Yes, it's not going to be COVID. We at this moment we do not even know it is COVID. So they use this lung lysate to tell people that yes, we are very sure this lung lysate is potent in infecting people and causing detrimentation. So they want to find out who is the guy who actually make people so sick.
Who
So
is
they
really
do
the mafia?
so they do the shotgun sequencing. Shotgun sequencing is a fancy word, means random sequencing. Random sequencing. They do a huge amount of random sequencing, so they have a lot of sequence. And then in the end, they use bioinformatics. That means biology and IT combined with huge database of bioinformation. And then they stack the sequences to join up in together. They call the contig conjoinment, the contigs of the sequencing. And hopefully they can get the full sequence. For example, it is sorry to be so crude. Let's say let's say I go to the rubbish dump. I saw a dead body of a cat, which has been chopped up into many pieces. So my job to find out whose cat is that I have to get the cat limbs and all join up together to see what color is this cat, what color this what shape does this cat look like. So in the rubbish dump, if I see a dissected corpse of a cat, I can join back together. So this is the idea how they try to trace back who is the guy inside the virus, inside the lysate. But the problem is, dear Dr. Romy and Dr. Shi, in this rubbish dump, there are 100 dead cats, chop them into many limbs. Tell me, how do I identify whose cat is dead in the rubbish dump? No way.
No way for us to know.
Too many. Yes, you will be able to retrieve all the dead body parts and conjoin them together and see, which is a sensible way, which one match to which one. Because some will be the white cat, some will be the black cat. But we know that some black cat has got white fur also, right? Am I right to say?
Yeah, okay, all right.
So, Dr. Shi, give me one more minute. I'm going to tell you this very terrible thing, that is, Why do I say it is this is actually biased? Because in this rubbish dump, there are already 100 cats chopped
Yeah.
into different parts and trying to conjoin together. So in the end, they know that they have difficulty. So they refer to coronavirus database and use coronavirus as a shadow, as a guideline to actually piece all these shotgun sequences or these random sequences to form a so-called new virus genome. And that is why I say it's biased. How do you know it was a coronavirus to begin with? Couldn't it be? Couldn't it be a flu virus? Couldn't it be Ebola? Couldn't it be any other kind of a DNA virus? Why must it be a coronavirus?
Mhm.
So what kind of who gave you the privilege to map it to a coronavirus backbone to retrieve the sequence?
Mm.
So
So
that's why
that was the presumption.
yes. So the whole thing was presumed that it is meant to be a coronavirus,
Mm.
and these people are really
There's
smart
already
that they think it's
prejudice.
coronavirus. Extremely prejudiced. I do not know why they know it is coronavirus. You should ask your ministry. You should ask your health minister. How come they know it was a coronavirus that was causing the detrimentation?
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because as
Well,
we can also see, yeah, in our records, it's not just coronavirus. In fact, there had been cases here. Since I'm from Cebu City, there was even one
Hmm.
case of murder, but because after swab, he tested positive, so the family cannot sue the one who murdered the victim because he died out of coronavirus infection. So the
not of the bullet. Murdered guy. How?
yes, yes, but yeah, so no more way to settle because the cause of the death was blamed to coronavirus when there were
Yeah.
other causes involved. So it's funny, but
Yeah.
it happens. There are really cases, though it was kind of extreme, but it actually happened. And there are several other more, like even when a patient died of another comorbidity. And so we
Yeah.
will discuss it also later now
Yeah.
in our subsequent questions.
So meaning it is over recorded already that if you die of stroke or heart attack or diabetes or whatever, and then coincidentally you also have the COVID, so your cause of death is COVID also. It's a COVID death. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of
Unfortunately,
bias.
that's what
There's a
is
lot of
happening
bias.
now.
It's
Hmm.
very interesting what we are hearing from you, Mr. Kiyu, and that's why I really like to enroll in your course.
Thank you.
I already checked all your courses and I already know what I like. I let you know later.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, he has a website called the vegschool.net. .net, right? Okay, okay. Anyway, you
Yes,
can
not
type
that. Yes.
it later. So
Yes.
anyway, my comment is we medical doctors, we don't have a lot of subject on immunology, on vaccinology, and on virology.
Hmm.
That's why I am open to listen to someone like you, Kiyo, who has the background on immunology.
True.
Most of the authorities are also worldwide. I'm not referring any regional or worldwide. But majority.
Mm-mm.
Like we don't they do, if we doctors don't even know too much about immunology, vaccinology, and virology, how much more the,
Our
for
patients.
example, the patients or the authorities, or
Mm.
like for example the
Administration.
mayor or the governor
Yeah.
of a province in Japan, for
Mm.
example.
Hmm.
Let's just say.
I'm just making examples. So that's
Mm.
why it's very important. That's why after there were at the past 2 weeks I was listening to I was trying to study on vaccinology, immunology, virology. I told you about Dr. Geert. Theo. I was
Yes, Doc.
looking at his website, and now actually he's being attacked also by fact checkers.
Mm.
So it's very interesting to learn from you, Kiyo, about this
Thank you.
immunology thing.
So there is a lot to work on, really, on isolating even just the coronavirus, because I'm
Yeah.
even wondering why. Oh, it's something very advanced, and how can we so sure with everything else?
Yes.
So
Actually, the
there's
isolation
this.
is very easy. The
Mm,
isolation is
oh,
actually very easy, but they skip that step. They skip
oh,
that step.
oh.
I did the isolation myself in year 3 biology in university days, and you wonder
Oh.
why they do not want to isolate.
Why?
Mm.
I do not know. I do not know. They just didn't
No, it's
do.
like this.
They
It's like
skip.
this.
They
Pop.
cut corners. They keep on skipping tests. They will fail year 3 biology test. If you put
Yeah.
WHO back to university, they will fail year 3 biology subject
Mm,
The answer
in
mm.
is like this.
university.
That's why something is really fishy. That's why we really have to look into
Mm.
researches, look into more information that can help us. All right. How about, okay, so we move on to, okay, I think Dr. Paredes can really contribute in this question. What to do when we already are tested positive with the RT-PCR? Again, as mentioned earlier, a lot, if not most, majority are asymptomatic and
Yes.
just stay at the isolation facility, just
Yeah.
doing nothing, because, well, it's a good thing that they are asymptomatic, but based on the RT-PCR testing, they tested positive for COVID. So how do
Well,
we handle?
this is you're right, Dr. Shi, that majority of the patients who test positive, they are asymptomatic or very mild
Mhm.
symptoms, like just like cold or asymptomatic. But I noticed the moment they see the test positive, then they begin to have a headache.
Yeah, they
So the
have difficulty breathing.
so the first thing I tell them, okay, how are you? And then they feel I'm okay, doc. But the next day they have headache or the throat becomes itchy. But in the first day of positive, they are okay. And then I tell them, the first thing I tell them, okay, you watch Netflix. You watch Netflix and take some fruits, vegetables. I mean, change your diet, focus on your healthy lifestyle. Don't panic. Uh, because a lot of people, when they test positive, oh my God, it
Yeah.
becomes
Am
all
I
of a sudden
dying? Am I going to
the fear,
die?
the
Mm,
fear all of a sudden, manifests. The heart,
mm.
and then people think it is fear that will keep them safe. My observation, no, 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 no. Fear will not keep you safe. It will lead you to decide in inappropriate decisions because of panic, because of fear. You end up taking a lot of medications that are not necessary.
So how do we handle fear? Since that's your expertise, doc. We do not just give away medication. We
Yeah,
also counsel them. So
yeah.
how do we
Yes.
handle
Well,
those kinds of feelings?
the best way to handle fear is not when it is there already. Uh, the best way
Mm.
is to prevent it by taking care of your inner well-being on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. Like for example,
Oh.
this morning, me, my wife, and my son, who is around 16 years old, we were all in our
Mm-hmm.
veranda doing sunlight, and we did a meditation and a yoga. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's now when people are already in fear, they're panicking. Of course,
Mm,
in
that's right.
medical terms, we were trained to prescribe to them something like a drug to calm them down. I don't do that. I don't do that. I just tell them to do some breathing techniques or meditation, like I call it. It's in layman term, it's the alternate nostril breathing. It's just
Oh,
balance. Yeah, it's in. You can learn it in YouTube.
alternate
Are
nostril breathing.
yes, yes. It's the English term, but there are Eastern terms, Indian terms, something like that. But before, I don't believe those stuff. But our body is not just a physical body. We are a vibration. We are a vibration. But we never studied vibrational medicine. What we
Mm-hmm.
studied is if you have a hypertension, then I will give you neoblacalcibacter.
Antihypertensive.
And I will
Yeah.
get you to take that drug for the rest of your life. That is how I was trained. So we doctors, KU, we are trained on pharmacology, but we are not highly trained on immunology. The tragedy sometimes is we pretend that we know immunology and we forget to do our homework. So I've been doing my homework because I accepted that I do not know immunology. So I have to do my homework. Now at least I know a little bit, so and I want to learn more from you.
Yes, that's
You're
right.
very humble,
Me,
Dr.
me,
Romy.
me as well. Me as well. I really have to learn from you because especially this time, we don't know where to look into anymore. And so I'm very blessed. It's very good to have mentors. I approached Dr. Paredes and he approached you to join this program. Thank you very much. It is such an honor to have your expertise, so our listeners can also listen to it because not all of us are privileged to be able to listen to informations like this. So it's really good that we do this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perhaps we go to the question on risky behavior because there are still a lot of risky behaviors even during the pandemic, and we may die because of this, and not really because of COVID-19 infection. It can be that they might incidentally test with COVID-19 positive with the RT-PCR, but actually they just have these risky behaviors. Can we identify these and perhaps help them identify so we may be able to address all these? Dr. Paredes?
Yeah, I think the most common risky behavior now that we see are those people who are not following the minimum health standards. I do believe in the minimum health standards, which also was mentioned by Mr. Kiyu. You wear a mask, you do social distancing so that you will not get a 1 kilo of the pathogen.
The dosage, that's
So maybe you
right.
only get 1 gram. So in fact, every time I go out, I see, I put my palm over my forehead. It's like there's no pandemic when I go out because people only act when they are sick already. So in my case, when I go out, everybody's a suspect.
Yes.
Everybody's
Treat
a suspect.
everyone
So I
potentially
have learned from
infectious.
Cleo that the pathogen is not. It's not very clear yet that it could be. We don't know if it's really this or that, but I presume there is a pathogen. So my default setting is when I go out, everybody's a suspect.
Yeah,
Everybody's a
I would
suspect,
just like
including my
that's true.
secretary, including my nurse. And I also
Yes.
tell them, it doesn't mean I'm the doctor in the clinic that
You don't have it. You might not
that
have
I
it.
don't have it, right?
That's right.
I may have it. In fact, the other day I asked my nurse to call a laboratory. Can you ask how much they charge for an antibody? I'm curious to test my antibody. Maybe I have it because I'm not vaccinated yet. And so I'm curious, maybe because I know of a cardiologist in the United States. I watch him in YouTube. I forgot his name. He's not vaccinated yet. He checked his antibodies. He was never sick, and he has the antibodies.
So he was asymptomatic.
So he was asymptomatic.
That's right. Because
Maybe false
we just yeah. So we just want to emphasize that this is not downplaying the pandemic. We recognize that there is the presence of the COVID-19 infection. It's just that we're just trying to question the practices that needing more investigation, and then emphasizing on where we can contribute, especially not just in the herd immunity, but in the prevention itself by using the minimum, required practices from us. So especially the mask or just not going out when not necessary. Okay, as much as possible, we stay home only and go out when needed. All right. So I think, wow, comments here from our audiences. Very informative. Thank you, Neil, for your comment. Yes, truly, it is a wonderful opportunity for us to have both Dr. Paredes and Mr. Kiyu. Okay. If if there are no more questions, I think, we have one question on How about the children being required to wear masks? I think based on what I have read, those that are younger or 5 years old and lower are not required because they don't know how to handle the mask itself. Because the mask can be a what's this? A point where infection can come from. Especially we do not know if the child will be able to handle the mask properly. So 5 years old below, not required. What I know, 6 years old to 11, when the area has a very high COVID-19 infection, then they are required. But regardless, 12 years old and above, they are required to wear masks. All right. I think we have addressed all the questions here. Dr. Paredes, you might have some more questions for Mr. Kiyu.
So, yeah, I have a question, Kiyo.
Yes.
If you are, this is a hypothetical question, sir. If you are with the WHO, what will be the most urgent thing that you will do? Assuming you have assuming you are with the power team, that you have the authoritative power to tell the world that this is the most urgent thing to do right now.
Yeah. I will actually appoint at least 10 to 20 research labs all throughout the world, independent, they are not linked up, to isolate the virus immediately.
Okay.
Because they have not been isolating.
Independent meaning not linked up with any organization.
They are not listening to organization. They are totally independent. They are not linked up, they are just different. I mean, they don't have to be really private or whatever, as long as these 10 to 20 labs, they are not under one umbrella, they do not crosstalk and all this. I want a really random test. I want to see whether these 20 research labs all throughout the world, they are able to reproduce the same result.
If the result is reproducible,
Exactly. I would want them to isolate not just the lung lysate. After lung lysate purified it, and then it will be a bunch of virus in there. It will be a bunch of virus in there. And then you have to find your way. You have to go and do so-called, comparative bioinformatics and all this to see which is the virus that is consistent among all these patients, and it will be a massive study. Yeah, because like I would want to gather maybe 1,000 patients, all with the same COVID symptoms, and I get all their lung fluids. I want to compare what is the sequence that is common among them. Then only I can actually find out what type of virus is this very possibly is, something like that. So important, you must quickly get the virus isolated, because the virus has not been isolated, and the so-called isolated virus now is actually biasly, presumptively predicted. Is not isolated.
All right. It's like it's like an action film in the Philippines, Dr. Paredes. It's predicted already. Whatever happens in the story, we know it will end this way.
Yes, the end result, it could be that it is not a coronavirus to begin with. It can be a very deadly virus, but it is not a coronavirus. It may not be, because we know that it is coronavirus because it was biased to begin with. They give the framework of the coronavirus for the mapping of the random sequencing, and this is something I do not know why it happens.
So it's just sad because yes, Dr. Perez, go ahead.
My next question to the both of you, now I'm in the interrogator also. I have a plan today.
My goodness.
My goodness. I will be the interrogator. So my next question is, Dr. Shi, are you vaccinated already? Because you are hospital.
No,
why?
I'm not.
Why?
My reason is not really on the science background. My reason is of the ethical background. It has been proven that during the testing of these vaccines, they used fetal cell lines, aborted fetal cell lines. And when I looked into it, it's true, it's factual. The researches are there. And even though they say that fetal cell lines are just done during research, but it's not part of the vaccine, since I'm a strong advocate against abortion, it is against my ethical values to make use of the vaccine that use fetal cell lines. That's mainly the reason why I refused.
Wow, wonderful. How about you, Mr. Liu?
I'm not vaccinated. I'm not vaccinated. Yeah,
And you don't have plan?
I don't have plan to vaccinate at all. Yeah, because the vaccine is not necessary. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not anti-vaxxer. I myself is vaccinated against a few diseases since young and all this, but not that I was aware of it and was given the vaccine. But the thing is that, you know, if it is sensible, I will vaccinate. But this is not sensible at all. Yeah, because whether it is a coronavirus, we are not sure also. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, me in my case, I will also
Go ahead.
I will also answer my own question. This is a very lovely episode, Dr. Shi. You should invite us again.
I agree.
Okay, so me, I'm not vaccinated yet. In spite of the fact that a lot of people are telling me, why are you not vaccinated yet? Well, my reason is, number one, as I've said, I don't know too much about enough about vaccinology, immunology, and virology. So I wanted to have some time, not to rush. So I don't like to rush. So unlike, you know, in Filipino we call it Russian. So Russian. Including the Russian vaccine, I'm not ready yet. So because the science is evolving, and I was so shocked the first time I heard from Kiyo that even the virus itself is not really perfectly isolated. It was just perhaps extrapolated, meaning it's like concluded based on some presumptions. Number two, most likely they will tell the world, you need another shot next year. You need another shot next year. So it will become a yearly thing. Do you want every year to have a, you know, because people think it's just like what Kiyo said to me a few weeks ago. It's not just an antibiotic that you inject and then tomorrow it's gone. I mean, it does something with your immune system.
That's true.
Yeah. And what I in my own research, in my own curiosity, what I understand is if the virus is mutable, vaccine most of the time is conditional. And the condition is it should not be mutable. But the virus we are seeing now is highly mutable. Meaning, if the vaccine is very specific to the antigen on the spike protein, so let's say it's shaped like this, and then the original version is like this, so they match together. Perfect. Okay. But the mutant, for example, now there's India mutant. Maybe the mutant looks like this. So they don't fit together anymore. And when they don't fit together anymore, and when you get infected, for example, with that variant, there will be a competition between the antigen-specific antibody and your innate immunity, which will dampen your innate original immunity. Am I speaking like an immunologist now? No, I'm just trying to learn more. Honestly, as of several months ago, I don't know anything about this. All I know, okay, there's a pandemic. It's time to slow down. That's my. But just recently, especially when I spoke to Mr. Lee, okay, it's time to start. So now I'm a student again. So please, my recommendation to people listening to the program of Dr. Shi, don't just accept everything that anything that you hear as a gospel truth. You have to do your own homework. You have to study. You cannot just say, because they told us to do it. You have to have your own conviction. Because people will tell you, okay, you did not go do like this and then do like that, then you will die. Well, we will all die. And we don't know then. And I'm so happy when I heard from Mr. Kiyo that, the original strain is gentle.
Yeah.
True, which is true in the beginning, late 2019 and early 2020, only the vulnerable groups. But now it's becoming young and young and young and young. Plus, of course, all the false positivity rates. So, meaning all the numbers that we see is overinflated.
That's true.
Because before the pandemic, because sometimes I watch news, before the pandemic, do you see a news of somebody having a heart attack or somebody cannot breathe? Do you see a news focusing the camera on somebody who cannot breathe? Before the pandemic, no. There's no news about those things.
That's
But
true.
when I was in the emergency room before, during my medical days in the Philippine General Hospital, I see a lot every day in the emergency room. But now you see a lot of something like that every day in the TV. So there is a pandemic of fear. Then again,
They're really trying to attack us through that.
I will repeat, people think that it is fear that will keep them safe. I disagree.
No.
It is sense that will keep you safe. Sense and self-responsibility. So we should tell people that your sense and responsibility is that you don't get infected. And if you do, make sure that you do not transfer it anymore to another person.
That's true. It's a very wonderful line. Sense and self-responsibility will keep us safe. Because truly, we can be heroes in our own ways. We wear masks, we keep ourselves distant from others, do not go on crowded places unnecessarily. We also will, take care of our health as much as possible, eat as healthy as possible, exercise daily, and most of all, as you said, Dr. Paredes, research and share only good and information that is science research based.
Yes, science-based and evidence-based. Di ba? Yun naman,
Yes.
Dr. Lifestyle medicine.
Yes,
Science
that's true.
and evidence-based. That's why we
That's
are both
true.
a student of lifestyle medicine.
That's true. So it was a wonderful combination on how we practice in actual clinically, and of course the research of Mr. Kiyu. It was a wonderful afternoon with both of you, Dr. Paredes and Dr. Kiyu. One comment from our audience also. Yes, it's truly, yes, Cheryl, it's very enlightening. Thank you very much for watching our program this afternoon. All right, so I think we have answered all the questions, Dr. Paredes and Mr. Kiyu. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I think we're just family dinner.
Because you have a dinner at 5:20.
Yeah. Okay, you can say bye to our audience because after this, we will have a segment of Tama o Mali, and there they will be able to get the free online consultation coupon. Once again, thank you very much for your time this
Thank you
afternoon.
so much. It's such an honor.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Doug. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Doc Shi. Bye.
All right. So it was indeed very full of information. Thank you very much for staying with us. So I hope you are ready to answer our Ask Dokshi segment. Oh, sorry, the pop quiz segment for Tama o Mali. All right. So once again, to join the pop quiz segment to win one of the free online consultation coupons, type in pop quiz number, then tama o mali. Okay? And then please, when we announce the winners later on, do not forget to message our Facebook page for us to be able to give you the free online consultation coupon. All right. So we move to the first tama o mali segment. Question. Pop quiz number 1, tama o mali. People needs to keep wearing masks while exercising. We keep on emphasizing that we need to keep ourselves healthy, by doing at least a 115 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity. So is wearing mask necessary, or does people need to keep wearing mask while exercising? Is this tama o mali? Type in your answers now. Okay. All right. So we have answers coming in. Let's move. So again, winners will be mentioned later in the program. So our answer is parang na-preempt yata yung answer. Okay, let's see. Yes, it is mali. When we are exercising, okay, the mask reduces our ability to breathe comfortably because, di ba, when it's moderate intensity physical activity, we can still speak but not sing anymore, more or less, parang roughly ganon siya. So that means if you wear a mask while exercising, you will reduce your ability to breathe comfortably some more. And what's worse, your sweat, no, it will gather here. And so nagkakaroon ng microorganism build up around this area, and yun, nagkaka-pimple. So what do we do when exercising? So instead of wearing mask during exercise, keep physically distant from other people. If you exercise in the gym, you just keep physical distance from them. Or if you can do your exercise at home, so that's better. Okay? All right. So we move on to pop quiz number 2. Pop quiz number 2, water. Ayan, kasi summer na. Water or swimming does not transmit the COVID-19 virus. Mahirap ba ito? Sige, let's see if our audience will be able to at least guess water or swimming, kasi ang dami-dami ng infographics na water or swimming does not transmit the COVID-19 virus. Tama o mali? All right. So water or swimming does not transmit the COVID-19 virus. The answer is yes, it does not transmit. Because wala namang there is no proven, according to the WHO, COVID-19 is not transmitted through the water. So kahit mag-swimming ka pa dyan at makainom ka pa ng tubig while swimming, hindi natatransmit si COVID-19. However, pag nagdi-beach kasi tayo, maraming tao. So it is your physical distance. Again, that's the question. Again, as mentioned by Mr. Kiyu, we decrease the dose of the viral infection by keeping physically distant and perhaps wearing mask na din if you really would like to go to the beach. But preferably, if you want to inhale that fresh air, that sea air, the salt, no? You go in a beach where wala masyadong tao. I noticed that during weekdays, wala masyadong tao on the beach, so you might want to go to the beach during those times. So, okay? So the answer for water or swimming does not transmit. Yes, it does not transmit, so it is tama. All right. So we move on to pop quiz number 3. Pop quiz number 3, COVID-19 can be transmitted through house flies, or in Filipino, langaw. Na pag nadapuan ba ng nakadapo ba ang langaw sa may COVID-19 na particles at pupunta yung langaw sa iyo, mahahawaan ka ba ng COVID-19? Tama o mali? Okay, so I'm seeing correct answers. Thank you very much naman. Ayan, at least may nag-follow na ng instruction. Thank you. You write the number because we are trying to look into the order. Okay, for us to be able to reveal the winners. Okay, so the answer for pop quiz number 3 is mali. Opo, hindi po, wala po. Again, there is no research na natatransmit through langaw, through housefly ang COVID-19. How is it transmitted? Through sneezing, coughing, okay? And then the most common symptom will be fever, coughing, okay? So there, mali. It cannot be transmitted through house flies. Okay. So, last pop quiz question. Yan. Most people, o yung mga nakinig talaga, dapat tama ang sagot ninyo sa question na ito. Dapat correct para manalo. Pop quiz number 4. I think the first 1, 2, and 3 medyo may nako-confuse, ano? But sana dito kasi na-emphasize talaga ito. Tama o mali, most people who get COVID-19 recover from it. Tama o mali? Yes naman! Tama. Again, most people get, if they get the infection or asymptomatic, minsan mild to moderate lang. And yes, majority will recover from the COVID-19 and they become part of the, ano yung sabi kanina, herd immunity. If you are if you have recovered from the infection, then you will help contribute in the herd immunity already. Ayan, because we need at least 80 to 90% of the population to get the antibodies for us to protect the entire herd or to protect the entire community. Ayan! So very good, very good, very good. Thank you very much for participating. Ayan, ang gagaling. Okay, so thank you very much for those who have joined our Tama o Mali segment, as because most of the concept of our Dangpanan this afternoon is of a talk show question and answer na. So we have addressed some of the questions. So this part, I think may na-isolate tayong dalawang questions for this afternoon for the Ask Doc Sheet, yung mga questions that are sent. And ito yung glaring kailangan daw sagutin. Nag-request, Doc, please answer. O sige, so we go to Ask Doc Sheet segment. All right, can we show the first question? Mens ko po in a year 1 to 2 times lang po, tapos minsan sumasakit po yung puson ko na parang namamanhid po. Ano po ba ang gagawin ko po, Doc, para maging normal po ulit ito? Okay, clearly itong symptoms mo is showing that there is hormonal imbalance, and kung sabihin natin sumasakit yung puson, tawag dyan dysmenorrhea. Hindi ko alam kung this is primary or walang underlying reason, or this is secondary kung may underlying reason. Ano bang common na cause of secondary dysmenorrhea? Yun ang adenomyosis, pelvic endometriosis, o pag wala namang pelvic endometriosis, minsan endometrioma or endometriotic cyst, yung cyst na nasa ovary. This can cause secondary dysmenorrhea. So, kung nakikinig ka man ngayon, those who asked me this question, if you are listening to us right now, I hope you are able to answer the Tama o Mali segment for you to be able to get that free online consultation coupon. Kayang-kaya naman natin itong i-manage online. Again, hindi kailangan physical yung visit nyo sa doktor. We have already adapted to what's needed at this time, and that includes the virtual consultation. So I am recommending for you to seek virtual consultation. Okay? And if you really would like to also learn, yung libre, nasa YouTube naman, I made a video on dysmenorrhea. So kindly look at it. The most common cause then of anovulatory cycles or nawawala yung mens, minsan-minsan lang dinadatnan, is polycystic ovarian syndrome. May video din ako dyan. So please go to YouTube, Docshi TV. Ayan. Okay. So, all right. Thank you. Ayan. So last question yata ito. Yes. Okay. Doc Shi, nakita ko po video nyo sa YouTube. Oy, very good. Danger signs during the first trimester of pregnancy. Nagkaroon ako ng fever at 3 months dahil namaga tonsils ko. I'm worried baka magkaroon ng birth defect si baby. Okay. Very good that you know that fever is one danger sign in the first trimester of pregnancy. Supposedly, if you had fever, yun na nga, kahit hindi nakapunta physically sa OB, pwede naman itong i-manage online, virtually. So, for those who are pregnant at feeling nyo, parang unfeverish, parang lalagnatin ako, magpakonsulta na, wala namang maano. Again, it's just virtual. Hindi naman natatransmit si COVID sa, sa internet. So, Ayan. Since, yun na, I think tapos na, nag-okay ka na, at wala ka ng fever ngayon, ano? Kasi the question is, I'm worried baka magkaroon ng birth defect si baby. Yes, okay. Very high temperature can possibly cause birth defects, okay? This is a valid concern, okay? However, if we look into researches, hindi siya ganun ka glary. Paano ba? How do I translate it in layman? Kahit yung wala namang exposure to high temperature in the first trimester, almost the same yung rate of birth defects sa mga na-expose ng high temperature. But para maging sure tayo, if you already have reached the age of 18, 24, 28 weeks at kaya nang mag-congenital anomaly scan, then go ahead. We are capable naman to be doing that congenital anomaly scan. Okay? You can request it to your OB. You tell your OB, Doktora, nagka-fever ako ng first trimester. Paano ba natin malalaman kung hindi na ano si baby? Because the congenital anomaly scan will look into structural defects or structural problems ni baby. And ano naman tayo dito sa Philippines? We always take care of the baby regardless. But if you ask the chances, hindi naman ganon, especially kung your fever is not very high, just a few days, tas nagparacetamol ka. Oh, by the way, Biogesic paracetamol. Ay, sorry, may brand pa ako, sorry. Paracetamol is safe for pregnant. But then again, I keep emphasizing, do not take medications on your own. You always seek medical advice. Ayan, na brand tuloy. Okay, parang yun na, no? That was our last question. Okay, so let us now reveal our winners. Ayan. Sige. Okay. So, all right. Parang wait lang. Okay, I hope you were able to type in your answers here with the number. Ayan, we are reviewing. Okay, we are ready to reveal our winners. Parang nahirapan ba sa wear mask during exercise? Okay, mukhang nahirapan daw po. Sabi, walang nakasagot ng mali. Number one, pop quiz number 1 is mali. Okay? Again, if you want to exercise, do not if you want to exercise in public, do not wear mask. Just observe physical distancing. Yun. Kasi, you will have a difficulty breathing. Okay, let's move on to pop quiz number 2. Baka may nakasagot na ng number 2. Naku, mahirap pa din ba? Number 2, ayan, tama po na is not transmitted. So, sa mga nag-beach, okay lang mag-beach. Mag-swimming po kayo. Safe lang po. Basta walang masyadong tao. Or you are far from the other of those who are swimming in the beach. Ayan na, may nakasagot na ng tama. Okay, Dr. Galion, thank you very much for answering the correct answer in tama o mali. Number 3, yes, mali. It is not transmitted through the house light. And our last, our last winner for pop quiz number 2 who answered tama. Let's see. Oh, wow, Cheryl. Ayan na, you are a winner. Once again, congratulations for joining our Tama o Mali segment. Ayan, ang galing-galing. So, I hope, once again, you have learned a lot this afternoon, not just with the Tama o Mali segment, but with our guests, okay? We are very fortunate to have them. I will take this opportunity to invite you next week. Okay, we have another guest who will discuss about HIV and AIDS, especially during this time of pandemic. So, we will be posting the link once again. It's every weekend date. So I'll see you again next weekend, Saturdays at 4 p.m. If you think that this episode has helped you, you have learned a lot, please don't forget to click that share button. You mention your friends so they may be able to watch this even at a later time, because this will be saved here in Facebook and here in YouTube. Because once again, we are streaming live both in Facebook and in YouTube. For those of our winners, kindly chat our Facebook page for us to be able to give you that free online consultation coupons. All right. So for those who will be watching this at a later time, you can still type in your answers. You'll be able to see and read it, and hopefully we can address them. If you have questions that you would want me to address next week, kindly message our Facebook page. You start with Doc ask Doc Shi, so my booking assistant to know that your questions are intended for Dangpanan segment. Okay, so again, what is our learning this afternoon? We can be heroes in our own ways by wearing our mask, be just physically distant from each other, do not go out when it's not necessary. You try to research and you only share valid research, science-based information. All right. Once again, thank you very much for staying with us this afternoon. This has been Dr. Shi Aramero, and you are watching Dangpanan, a live series of Doc Shi TV. Remember, we can be safe and healthy at the same time. I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.